The playboy me for his love now begs for forgiveness. When I was a university student sponsored by an entitled playboy, every day, he would send me lavish gifts worth millions. That day, I opened a surprise gift as usual, only to find a wedding invitation from him and a princess of the Sterling City's elite. Julian kissed me with a smile, his hand sliding into my clothes. I've been supporting you for 3 years. It's time our arrangement came to an end. I froze, staring at the 9 scars on his collarbone. I nodded in acquiescence and pulled out the termination agreement. Julian, however, flew into a rage, pinned me against the booth seat, and unfastened the metal buckle at my waist. What's the hurry? Grace isn't as promiscuous as you are, and I'm worried about hurting her on our wedding night, so I still need to practice with you for a while. If you can keep me satisfied, I might consider keeping you as an additional mistress to sate my desires while Grace is pregnant. The entire room of socialites cheered, taking photos, waiting to see how shamelessly I would grovel. But no one knew that I had only allowed him 9 chances to hurt me, and those chances were now all used up. I raised my hand and slapped him, and sneered, "If you're in heat, go find a sow. Don't get in the way of me finding my next sugar daddy." Everyone was stunned, his face flushed with humiliation. Julian gripped my neck and flung me away. "Skylar, it seems I've spoiled you beyond all measure. I'm giving you a chance to stay by my side, so accept it gracefully. And don't push your luck." I wiped the blood stains from my knees, picked up the termination agreement and tossed it at him, saying each word clearly. I knew this day would come. I've already signed it. Do as you please. I turned to leave, but his cronies blocked my path. Well, the little firecracker has grown up, such a fiery temper. Truly's little darling, nurtured by him. But we bros advise you. Julian can give you a home, or he can destroy everything you have. If you're smart, you'll stay and be his plaything. Otherwise, if you displease him, you might not even have your skin left when you walk out of this bar. Don't forget, your brother is still in a private hospital, waiting for an emergency heart transplant. Of course, if you're willing, we wouldn't mind dragging him from his hospital bed right now to join us instead of you. Their leering gazes clung to me, and the threat in their voices sent a chill down my spine. 3 years ago, my younger brother fell gravely ill, desperate to earn money for his medical treatment. I dropped out of college, having nowhere else to turn, and became a live streamer. Unfortunately, I ended up with a fraudulent company, and after only a few days of streaming, I was sold into an illicit club. When I refused to entertain the clients, Brenda, the manager, subjected me to whippings and forced sedatives. The most desperate moment was when 5 or 6 elderly bosses cornered me on a sofa. I considered taking my own life and was about to bite off my tongue. It was Julian who kicked the door open and saved me. He was retaliated against for it and ended up with 9 knife scars on his collarbone. I asked him how I could repay his life-saving kindness. He looked at me with what seemed like deep affection. "You don't need to repay me. Just consider it an act of chivalry. I simply enjoy helping girls in distress." I frowned. "Do you have a thing for college girls?" My words seemed to startle him. "Since you feel so indebted, then just stay by my side like a shadow. Or, you can fulfill 9 requests for me, and our debt will be settled." To repay his kindness, I chose to stay by his side. He doted on me excessively, funded my university education, and even prolonged my brother's life. But gradually, the way he looked at me changed. When he was drunk, he would strip off my clothes and drip candle wax on me while singing happy. When I was sick, he forced me to wear a bikini to sizes too big, lie on the floor, and bark like a dog, while sticking my rear up to beg for his favor. Every time I resisted, he would remind me of my brother's life and the debt of gratitude I owed him. I endured such humiliation for 3 years. The 9 requests had long been fulfilled. Why couldn't I be free? Chapter 2. But my silence Julian interpreted as him having the upper hand. He snapped his fingers, a hint of smugness in his voice. "Skylar, I'm giving you 5 seconds to give in. Just stop making a scene, and I can continue funding you and your brother." 5, 4, 3. I took a deep breath, pulled out my cell phone, and dialed that number. Grace's alluring voice came through. "Hello?" Julian's face instantly darkened. He snatched my cell phone, furious, and smashed it. "You're invading my privacy? How do you have Grace's phone number?" "Skylar, I hate being threatened." I couldn't help but sneer. "Didn't you say you needed to practice with me? With your leading lady absent, how else will you learn my techniques for charming men? Or perhaps Julian has a penchant for group activities?" "No problem. I can demonstrate for you first." Before he could react, I expertly crouched down, my lips and tongue inching forward. The entire room erupted, and men's whistles filled the air. I suppressed my revulsion and continued, praying for it all to end quickly. Julian's breathing grew ragged, and veins bulged on his forehead. Just as I was about to go further, he abruptly yanked me up. Skylar, I truly underestimated your shamelessness. After cursing me, he draped his jacket over my shoulders and roared at the others, "Get out, you nobodies. Do you think you're worthy of watching me like a show? If you're so horny, go home and sleep with your own women." Everyone wisely started to leave, and I feigned reluctance. Don't leave, gentlemen. Sharing is caring, and when it comes to intimacy, I'm an expert. I can teach you how to really satisfy a woman. I guarantee your future wives will love it, Skylar. Julian's eyes were bloodshot with rage. He shoved me hard against the wall. Do you enjoy making me furious? When will you learn to be more generous? Did I hear that right? He wanted to have his cake and eat it too, and now he was subtly accusing me of playing hard to get. I stared at his condescending posture, a wave of sorrow washing over me. Julian, you're about to marry another woman. What's the point of forcing me to stay? I'm not playing games. I'm just tired and fed up. Just like you said, let's end our arrangement. Stop tormenting each other. When I mentioned the termination agreement again, Julian squeezed my chin hard, his voice dark. Dream on. If it's going to end, I'll be the one to decide when. What right do you, a sponsored university student, have to suggest it? You truly want to cut ties with me? Fine, carve 9 cuts into your own face. As long as you can never use that face to seduce other men again, I'll let you go. My eyes widened in disbelief. He seemed to realize I'd spoken out of line and regretfully tried to retract it. But before he could, I grabbed a wine bottle, smashed it, and fiercely dragged the jagged edge across my face. Blood quickly welled on my face. Panic flashed in Julian's eyes. He snatched the glass shard from my hand, his face turning ashen. Skylar, you're absolutely insane. You'd rather harm yourself than stay with me? Do you really despise me that much now? Fine. I won't marry Grace then. Just stop trying to force me into things by competing for my attention. He scooped me into his arms and got into the car, running several red lights to rush me to the hospital for treatment. The doctor said my cuts were superficial, and with proper care, the scars would fade, telling him not to worry. Yet he clung to my bedside, his eyes filled with anguish. Skylar, if only you were the one I had fallen for first. Chapter 3. My heart tightened, just as I was about to press further. Another voice interrupted me. Julian, how is Skylar's injury? Do you need me to arrange for some international plastic surgeons to examine her? Grace pushed the door open and entered, her voice laced with a playful complaint. You big men are truly something else, always focused on your own pleasure and good times. Skylar is so young. You should be more lenient with her. Why didn't you let her go? The bar was such a mess. If you upset her, wouldn't you be the one to suffer and feel heartbroken? She hooked her arm through Julian's and smiled at me. Skylar, right? You just called me for help. I thought it was a spam call and didn't pay attention. I happened to see you during my prenatal checkup here. I asked the bodyguards a few questions. I didn't expect our first meeting to be like this. Don't worry, when we get back, I'll make sure to teach Julian a good lesson for you. My gaze fell on Grace's slightly protruding belly, and my throat tightened. So they even had a child together. All this time, I was the only one kept in the dark, thinking of the birth control pills I'd been taking for 3 years. I only regretted not realizing it sooner. The moment he saw Grace, Julian shed his usual recklessness and cautiously embraced her, love practically spilling from his eyes. Why did you come for your prenatal checkup alone? You should have let me accompany you. Skylar's fine. She was just throwing a tantrum and self-harming today. Now that she's landed herself in the hospital, she'll be much more compliant, so don't worry about her. Grace chuckled. All right. You're covered in blood. Go clean up first. I'll look after Skylar for you. She's still in college. A young girl's mindset is naturally different from us, who are out in the world. You have to be more understanding. They exchanged playful banter while I felt utterly like a stranger. Before leaving, Julian cast a warning glance my way and mouthed to me, don't say anything inappropriate in front of Grace. If you upset her and cause any complications with her pregnancy, I'll make sure your brother stops breathing. My pupils contracted sharply. I averted my gaze and carefully observed Grace. She was just as beautiful as her picture on the invitation, possessing an elegance and vivacity that someone from my impoverished background could never have. She sat by my bedside, peeling an apple for me, her tone no longer soft, but chillingly cool. Skylar, Has Julian ever told you that you're just my stand-in? My heart sank. I finally understood why. Every time Julian tormented me, the look in his eyes was as if he were seeing someone else. She continued, now your face is ruined, and I, the original, am back in the country. You've occupied my place for 3 years. It's time to give it back. Grace suddenly raised her hand, and the fruit knife plunged straight towards me. I reflexively tried to block it from a vital spot, but she grabbed my hand and plunged it into her own belly. Julian, save me. Skylar, she's gone mad. Grace shrieked. Julian, who hadn't gone far, rushed back, the scene before him filling him with rage and terror. He slapped me hard across the face, then scooped up Grace, shouting for a doctor. Quick, save her. Hurry. Grace sobbed inconsolably, clinging to his arm. Julian, Skylar said I'm a homewrecker, that I destroyed your relationship, but I was the one who knew you first. Why would she hurt me? Hurt our baby? Julian didn't bother to explain anything to her and rushed out with her in his arms. My face was ashen. Knowing had framed me. I quickly pulled out the 4-needle and shakily got out of bed. Before I'd taken 2 steps, Julian burst into the room violently and grabbed my hair, dragging me out. Skylar, so you can feel fear? I've given you plenty of chances. You insisted on crossing my line. Don't blame me for being ruthless. He dragged me to my brother's hospital room and pulled out his oxygen tank right in front of me, his expression like a demon from hell. Do you know? The doctors said Grace lost her baby. The 3-month-old baby she painstakingly carried for me is gone. Are you so jealous that you can't even tolerate a child? How much money have I spent on you and your brother over the years? I didn't ask for anything in return, but how could you repay my kindness with malice? Since you won't back down until it's too late, I'll take the one thing you care about most and make him a burial offering for the baby. Chapter 4. No. I struggled to grab the oxygen tank. With a sickening crunch, Julian snapped my wrist. Excruciating pain spread through my entire body. I bit back a cry and looked up. Julian, however, kicked me hard behind the knee. My legs buckled, and I fell to my knees before him. What are you crying for? Grace's grief over losing her child is 1,000 times worse than your pain. Skylar, you're nothing but a low-class plaything. I'll make you pay the price for what you did. A sharp smack echoed as another slap landed hard on my face. Blood dripped from my wounds, and tears streamed from my eyes. Julian, I didn't hurt her. Another smack followed. Cutting off my attempt to explain, a blood-soaked tooth fell out. My chin was gripped with such force. Julian's grip felt like it would crush me. Skylar, let me tell you the truth. The only reason you enjoyed my favor was because your face resembled Grace's. She's my first love, the princess I've cherished and protected. Because of you, she's suffered such immense injustice. How dare you try to argue? Do you think I'm blind? Can I see who the real victim is? Hearing his words, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh, my vision blurred by tears. In our 3 years together, I had never done anything to wrong him, yet, merely because of a few words from Grace, he lost control and became violent with me, forgetting even to check the security footage. Love and indifference were so starkly clear. This ambiguous, sponsored relationship was truly absurd. Seeing the heart monitor flatline, I mustered all my strength to push Julian away and rushed to save my brother. Julian's eyes turned sinister. He swiftly grabbed the back of my collar, and his fists rained down on me. A life for a life. Considering you served me for 3 years, I'll spare your life. But your brother must die in your stead. The disparity in strength between us was too great. I was powerless to resist. I could only accept the reality and plead through my tears. I know I was wrong. Please, let my brother go. Punish me if you must. He'll die without his oxygen tank. Julian, however, ordered his bodyguards to remove all the medical equipment and lock my brother and me inside the room. I stumbled to my feet, pounding desperately on the glass door. Suddenly, I noticed a faint stain of blood in my lower abdomen, realizing something horrifying. I broke down in a desperate mess. Julian, I think I'm pregnant too. Please, let me out quickly. For the sake of the child, don't kill my brother. I beg you. He froze for a moment, then spoke with utter disgust and mockery. I gave you pills every day. How could you possibly be pregnant? Skylar, you truly sicken me. Next, I'll tear up the agreement and send you back to the hell you came from. You owe me for all of this. If it weren't for your presence, I wouldn't have hesitated and kept an unstable element like you by my side. Julian left without a backward glance. I was losing too much blood. My vision swam. Just before I passed out, I saw a ray of hope pass by. Please, save my brother. Julian paced anxiously outside the emergency room. A nurse stood nearby, holding a video recording. Hesitant to speak, Julian slapped her across the face. Say what you have to say, or get lost. Don't think I won't hit a woman. The recording fell to the floor. It hit a button and began to play automatically. Grace's self-orchestrated scene appeared on screen. She had stabbed herself to frame me. Julian's eyes widened in fury. He pointed at the nurse, demanding, "Are you conspiring with Skylar, using AI-generated fakes to deceive me? Do you believe I can make you disappear from Sterling City?" Before the nurse could defend herself, a bodyguard rushed over, holding a stack of photos. Bad news, Julian. Someone's leaked that Ms. Grace's baby is of African descent. Your engagement is off. Chapter 5. What did you say? Say another word, and I'll rip out your tongue. The bodyguard opened a viral post across social media, and the top trending topics were shocking. Sterling City's elite, after a 3-year international romance, gives birth to a child of African descent and flees, then seamlessly transitions to the entitled Playboy. The Playboy, his university student for love. What become of the brother and sister? University student versus Sterling City's elite. Julian stared in disbelief. He snatched the cell phone and scrolled through the posts, one by one. For the first time, his face showed profound regret and hatred. Images of me, covered in blood, flashed through his mind. He took off running towards the room where he had locked me. But the door stood ajar. Inside, there was nothing but a large pool of blood, and no one. Julian staggered back to steps. He grabbed the bodyguard's collar and demanded, "Where's Skylar? One injured, one critically ill. Where could they possibly go?" The bodyguard looked confused. Julian, didn't you give me a sponsorship transfer document half an hour ago and told me to have the live streaming company take Ms. Skylar and her brother away? Brenda, the manager, was very pleased. She said if Ms. Skylar's physique was nurtured for a bit, she could definitely fetch a fortune from the big shots, who would buy her day and night. Julian's eyes were bloodshot. He shook the bodyguard by the shoulders. She's my woman. How dare they do that? Bring back immediately. Hurry. The bodyguard, bewildered, made a call to request their return. Brenda's furious and agitated voice came through. Are you out of your mind? Transferring a pregnant woman and a half-dead man to me? That pregnant woman died, taking 2 lives, right after being forced into bed by a man. What a money-losing curse. Absolutely bad luck. Julian, I don't deal with dead bodies. To avoid trouble, I dragged them both off for cremation. With that, she angrily hung up. Julian completely lost it and collapsed to the floor. The words pregnant woman, 2 lives lost echoed relentlessly in his ears. He mumbled, how could this happen? Skylar was really pregnant? She had my child? Only then did he realize I had never lied to him. Nor had I played any games or vied for his attention because of Grace's return. My words had been filled with anguish. But what about him? For a woman who had toyed with him for years, his first love, he indiscriminately attacked me. What was even more ridiculous was that his first love had long since betrayed him, entangled herself with another man and bore his child, and even tried to deceive him and frame me. Julian picked up the necklace I had dropped. He cried until he was almost completely drained. I was wrong. I chose incorrectly. Grace, in a hospital gown, appeared by his side. She snatched the necklace, a hint of dissatisfaction on her face. This belongs to Skylar, right? She caused me to miscarry. Why are you still thinking about her? Shut up, you slut. How dare you even speak? Julian sprang up and slapped her across the face. He snatched the necklace back and tucked it into his pocket as if it were a priceless treasure. This was the first Valentine's Day gift I ever gave Skylar. You have no right to touch it. Unending pain and remorse were etched on Julian's face. Grace was stunned by the slap, still unaware of what had happened. She accused him. I have no right. Am I not even as good as her? A mere stand-in? Julian, have you fallen in love with her? Answer me. Julian gasped for a few heavy breaths. Too fed up to continue the charade with Grace, he swung his fist, beating her half to death. Damn it. Even now, what's with this innocent act? This princess charade? You got pregnant by a black man while studying abroad. You came back to marry me, a complete fool, only because you feared your scandal would be exposed. You didn't expect I already had a stand-in and even developed feelings for her. So you started plotting, using the opportunity to frame Skylar and get rid of that bastard child. Grace, I hate you for ruining the woman I love. I'm going to destroy you and make sure you can never show your face in Sterling City again. Julian took out his rage on Grace and didn't stop until he'd beaten her into the ICU. Chapter 6. Once he calmed down, Julian frantically rushed to the live streaming company, grabbing Brenda, the manager, and demanding to see me. Brenda impatiently shook him off. Julian, you're the one who sent her here. Now she's dead. And you're regretting it? What for? I'm not running a charity. You owe me compensation for my emotional distress. What's more, the brother and sister's ashes were scattered long ago, so stop bothering me. Julian's face was contorted in a grotesque mask. I only told you to scare her. I never told you to send her to other men's beds. You killed Skylar. I'm calling the police on you. Brenda's brows furrowed deeply. She yelled, summoning several burly men, who then ganged up on Julian. You little punk. I respected you as Julian because you brought us good business. Now the goods are ruined, and you dare to cause trouble at your grandma's place? You guys, teach him a good lesson and throw him out. He really thinks he's something special. Julian was outnumbered. He was so enraged that he spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed, unconscious. When he woke up again, he was already at Julian's family residence. Eleanor stood by his bedside, her face full of disappointment and frustration. You truly are my wonderful son. Being thrown out by people from that trashy live streaming company, you've completely shamed Julian's family residence. And that Grace, she left you 3 years ago when she went abroad, yet you remained infatuated with her, insisting on marrying her. Well, look what happened now. You're wearing a cuckold's cap, courtesy of an international acquaintance. You've brought shame upon our ancestors. And that other one, Skylar, you got her pregnant and didn't even say anything. Even though I don't like her, she could have borne an heir for Julian's family residence. How could you just cause her death? What a disgrace to our family. How could I have given birth to such a fool? Julian, already heartbroken, after hearing the reprimand, began to yell like a madman. How dare you lecture me? If it weren't for your interference, I would have proposed to Skylar long ago. It's because all these years, you kept bad-mouthing her background to me that I wavered and ended up getting entangled with Grace. The woman I love is Skylar. It's all because of you that I lost her. You're all murderers. He smashed furniture and destroyed everything. He accidentally saw a fallen photo of us. He numbly recalled the 3 years I had spent by his side. Whatever he asked for, I always complied. Anything he liked, I would pursue it relentlessly to satisfy him and make him happy. Even when he allowed his friends to make crude remarks about me and subject me to all sorts of insults and humiliation, I still smiled brightly, giving him the misconception that no matter how he treated me, I would never leave. That's why, between me and Grace, he abandoned me without a second thought, because the one he couldn't have always stirred his desire, while the one he favored grew complacent. Julian touched the 9 scars on his collarbone. He chuckled forlornly. Skylar, how could I have forgotten our promise? Yes, I hurt you more than 9 times. You were right to reject me. How could a scumbag like me ever deserve your genuine love? He suddenly took a lighter and set our shared photo ablaze. He tossed it onto the bedspread, acting as if he wanted to die. Skylar, it's all my fault. I know you despise me, but I'll never agree to you leaving me. It's been 3 years. I've grown accustomed to having you by my side. If you're dead, I don't want to live either. Julian collapsed into the flames. The moment he closed his eyes, he smiled blissfully. Skylar, I'm coming to find you. I'm bringing you a new Valentine's Day gift. I'll sacrifice myself to be reunited in death as spouses. Eleanor was terrified and shakily dialed 911 for help. Chapter 7. Sterling City's exclusive neighborhood. I watched Julian's charred body on the video monitor. A surge of wild satisfaction filled me. I picked up the red wine from the table and toasted the empty air. Ethan, thank you for saving my brother. As a token of my gratitude for saving his life, within 24 hours, your nemesis, Julian's corporation, will surely go bankrupt and never recover. Ethan frowned. He took my glass, drank the wine, his voice laced with authority. You're on your period. Don't be reckless. That's right. I wasn't pregnant at all. Under's abuse. I had frantically thought I was pregnant. Thankfully, I hadn't conceived a child with that scumbag. I smiled slyly. Thanks to Ethan for inviting renowned doctors to treat me. My lower abdomen doesn't hurt at all now. That day, when I cried for help, Ethan, known as the ascetic of Sterling City's elite, happened to pass by, knowing he was Julian's mortal enemy. I proactively offered all of Julian's family residence's secrets, begging him to save my brother and me. Without a word, Ethan broke in, fabricated the news of my brothers and my demise, and got us out of danger. I gazed at Ethan's exceedingly handsome face, and, as if compelled by an unknown force, I took his hand. Whatever else you need me to do, Just say the word. I will be your most loyal partner. Ethan lowered his gaze and withdrew his hand, his eyes a little cold. I am not Julian. I don't need you to flatter me. Just do your part and don't cross any lines. As for the heart your brother needs, I've already located one. The surgery can be done tomorrow. I paused, stunned, my eyes couldn't help but sparkle. I thanked him again, truly from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Ethan. I hadn't expected him to help me to this extent. He truly was a generous, career-driven magnate, a detached, ascetic figure who wasn't swayed by beauty, much easier to deal with than other socialites. In the days that followed, I devoted myself entirely to working for Ethan. I interned at his company and became his personal secretary. At the same time, I secretly worked to suppress Julian's corporation, leaking their tax evasion scandals online. Julian's corporation's stock quickly plummeted. Many partners terminated their contracts, demanding compensation. And Julian's hair turned white overnight. That day, I had just finished a business dinner with Ethan and was groggily heading to the restroom. Suddenly, a pair of hands reached out and pulled me into a dim private room. Skylar, you're alive. I knew you were alive. The familiar voice instantly sobered me. I snapped my head up. Julian, you're not dead. He was incredibly thin, his cheeks were hollow. Only a week had passed, but he looked as if aged decades. Gone was his former youthful vigor. Julian ignored my repulsion. He reached out to embrace me. I felt so disgusted I almost vomited. Get away. Don't touch me. You beast who only thinks with his lower half. I raised my hand and slapped him. Not only did he not get angry, but he happily grabbed my hand and slapped his face several more times with it. Skylar's hand will hurt. Then I'll hit myself. Julian mumbled. Then released me. He then relentlessly slapped his own face, left and right, not stopping until blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. Is that enough to satisfy you? You can punish me however else you want. He pulled out a fruit knife and handed it to me, pointing to his face. Skylar, I was wrong before. I was deceived by that slut, Grace. It was my anger that made me hurt you. Your facial scars have healed, but your heart must still be in pain. So stab me 9 times. No. Make it 99 stabs. As long as you're willing to forgive me, I'll gladly let you stab me to death. I tossed the fruit knife aside and sneered. Love that comes too late is cheaper than dirt. What's more, you didn't just hurt me. What right do you have to talk about forgiveness with me? You don't deserve it. Chapter 8. Julian, agitated, knelt before me, banging his head heavily on the floor. I'm sorry to you and your child. I don't deserve to be a father. I was a bastard. I was foolish. I caused your brother's death. Skylar, I know I was wrong. We can have another child. I'll also build the most extravagant tomb for your brother. Can you please give me one more chance? His pathetic display disgusted me. I kicked him hard in the head. No way. The you once knew was killed by your own hands. Domestic violence is never just a one-time thing. It's a cycle. I'm fortunate I was able to leave quickly and not get entangled with a degenerate like you for life. Julian, just die. Why are you still haunting me, trying to ruin my life? Julian's eyes reddened. Tears fell, his forehead raw from hitting the floor. I wanted to die too, but they saved me. He grabbed my hand with the fervor of a zealot. Before I died, I made a vow, whether as a human or a ghost, I would be your spouse. Since fate has given us another chance to meet, it means our destiny together isn't over. Skylar, I swear I'll never let you down again. From now on, I'll do whatever you say. The more he spoke, the more twisted he sounded. His hand instinctively moved upwards, creeping towards me like a snake, trying to invade my space. Just as I was about to resist, Julian's head was struck from behind with a wine bottle. Ethan grabbed his arm and yanked hard with an over-the-shoulder throw. Julian was instantly flattened on the ground, unable to get up. You dare lay a hand on someone I protect? Julian slowly got to his feet. Recognizing his face, he suddenly swung his fists like a madman. Damn it. Did you hide Skylar away? Why drag her into a feud between men? Did you touch her? I'll kill you. But because Julian hadn't been eating properly for a long time and his physical condition was poor, Ethan easily pinned him to the ground and held him there. Ethan's foot was on Julian's forehead, but his words were directed at me. I dislike concealment and deceit. Since you've chosen me, before he could finish, I proactively moved closer and hugged his arm. Of course, my devotion will only be for you. Today was purely an accident. I would never secretly meet other men behind your back. Clinging to the ascetic's powerful patronage was essential. Who wouldn't want a powerful, dominant, yet abstinent boss like him? But to Julian, those words twisted into something else entirely. He gritted his teeth, his knuckles turning white. Like a rabid dog, he barked, "Skylar, are you really abandoning me? You left me and found someone else to sponsor you. And that person happens to be my mortal enemy. The Ethan I despise most." His face contorted, losing all rationality. "Are you fawning over him just like you fawned over me? Are you serving him every night, making him?" "Shut up." I grabbed an ashtray from nearby and shoved it against his mouth. "Julian, just because your mind is filthy and you're a lecherous degenerate doesn't mean all men are as depraved as you. Ethan is more dignified than you, more respectful of women than you. He's 1,000 times better than you. You're just a rat in the gutter, vile and selfish, utterly disgusting. You can't even compare to one of Ethan's fingers." After my outburst, I kicked his chin. The ashtray tumbled from his mouth, and I spoke first. "You did get one thing right though. I wish I could fawn over Ethan, but he won't even give me the chance otherwise. I'd hand you an invitation to our wedding." Julian stiffened, all vitality drained from him. "Skylar, stop joking. I can't take it. I'm clearly the one you love most. If I kill everyone who has ever wronged you, will you finally forgive me?" Chapter 9. You're insane. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him further. I tugged at Ethan's sleeve. "Ethan, let's go. This kind of beggar isn't worthy of defiling your sight." Ethan simply hummed in response. Then I felt myself lift. He had swept me into his arms. "Let her go. She's mine." Julian struggled desperately to stand, but he had no strength left. He could only watch as we disappeared from his sight, back at the villa. I was completely bewildered. Dozens of designers were measuring me to custom make a wedding dress. Ethan sat on the sofa, legs crossed. He didn't speak, but I could sense his joyful mood. "Ethan, call me Ethan." I shivered. Even an idiot would realize something was wrong. I collapsed at his feet, trembling. "Ethan, I know you're not interested in women. Everything I said just now was nonsense. Please don't take it seriously." But I did." Ethan interrupted me. He pulled me into his embrace. His chin rested on my forehead, and he sighed, as if resigned. "Skylar, do you truly not remember me?" He pulled out a video. In it, a man in uniform danced a provocative leg sweep routine. I shivered involuntarily. As the man's face in the video overlapped with Ethan's, I nearly screamed. "You're the fallen beauty from that live streaming company 3 years ago." I remembered. Back then, shortly after joining the company, I discovered their illicit operations. While trying to escape, I saved a handsome man in a uniform. It was too dark to make out his features then. I only knew he had an amazing physique, and his deep V neckline was incredibly alluring. To help him escape, I got caught myself. It was only after that Julian rescued me. Ethan's voice was hoarse. "I was drugged and taken there. It was your kindness that saved me. After I sobered up, I went back to look for you, only to learn you had been taken by Julian. So I acquired that live streaming company and purged its corrupt elements. All these years, I've been secretly watching you. But you only had eyes for Julian. I stood no chance. Skylar, I don't want to hide anything from you. Saving you and your brother at the hospital wasn't a coincidence. I deliberately went there. Haha. So much for the abstinent ascetic, the unapproachable elite. He was actually a dark beast, lurking in the shadows for a long time. Should I say he was honest, or too confident, too sure of his victory? Perhaps seeing my innermost thoughts, Ethan released me, knelt on one knee, and proposed to me with a pink diamond the size of a robin's egg. Skylar. It was love at first sight for me, not out of gratitude. I've secretly loved you for 3 years, and I want to openly and truly be yours. Will you choose me this time? Even if you just use me, let me be your only pillar of support." I smiled, and as I smiled, tears started to fall. What a twisted fate this is. After all these twists and turns, it felt like we were back where we started. After weighing the pros and cons, I extended my hand and let him slide the pink diamond onto my ring finger. Soon, the news that the Sterling City Scion, once seen as untouchable, had fallen for earthly desires and married a brilliant university student became a viral post across social media. Ethan truly doted on me, sparing no expense, spending a staggering 1.34 billion to throw a magnificent wedding for me, as if to declare his love to the entire world. On the day of the wedding, I took wicked delight in sending an invitation to Julian's declining family residence. As expected, Julian arrived with quite a gift. He dragged Grayson by her hair, step by step, as if pulling a corpse. Grace was covered in injuries. Her exposed skin was a patchwork of bruises. The guests, watching the spectacle, quickly started live streams, condemning Julian's utter lack of humanity. Ethan signaled his bodyguards to escort them out, but I discreetly squeezed his hand and shook my head. Then secretly pressed the emergency call button. Chapter 10. Seeing our sweet interaction, Julian's eyes reddened at the corners. Skylar, have you truly moved on? You said you'd only ever be with me. Were you lying to me? My brother stood up and cursed him. You don't deserve her. You tormented my sister, exploiting her gratitude, and even threatened her for 3 years with my life. You deserve to die alone. Julian stared at my brother in shock. Then his gaze flickered to Brenda beside him, and he began to tremble uncontrollably. You. I let out a timely laugh, sharp as a blade, piercing Julian. Julian? Can it be that you're in disbelief? My brother is alive, and Brenda is actually Ethan's employee. And I'm not pregnant. My period was just irregular. A simple misunderstanding. Julian's mind went blank. Grace threw her head back and laughed. Julian? You finally got what's coming to you. You used Skylar as my stand-in for 3 years for my sake, then nearly beat me to death for her sake, and in the end, you got absolutely nothing. Ha ha ha. You're pathetic. You thought you were cleverly juggling 2 women, playing us both, but in reality, we've been spinning you in circles. Before could finish speaking, Julian pulled out a cleaver, slashed her mouth, and then stabbed her several more times in the body. The scene was incredibly bloody, and the onlookers fled in terror. When he tired of hacking, he raised the blood-soaked knife and pointed it at me. Skylar, come here. Don't make me say it again. I won't hold your betrayal against you. As long as you come back to me, I can spare Ethan's life. I watched him calmly as he raved. Get lost, you don't deserve it. Ethan let out a cold laugh, kissing me right in front of him. Skylar, he's so stupid, he's completely hopeless. The moment he finished speaking, Julian's cleaver came flying towards us. Ethan held me steady and dodged it. The next second, police sirens wailed, and Julian was instantly apprehended by the officers. He struggled furiously, roaring that he would kill us. That vile couple. My brother ran over to check on me. Seeing I was unharmed, he yelled at Julian, you and Grace are the vile couple. You can't have my sister, so you want to destroy her? You're a spineless coward, worse than an animal. Good riddance to you. I patted my brother's shoulder, holding Ethan's hand with my other. A brilliant smile on my face. Why bother with this nobody? From now on, our family will be full of joy, and no one will ever be able to disrupt our happy life again. Ethan put his arm around my waist, casting a cold glance at my brother, asserting his claim. Skylar was smart to call the police. Now that villain will never bother us again. As for certain people, once you've recovered, hurry up and move out to make your own way. Your brother-in-law here has plenty of money to help you out, if you know what I mean. I laughed, watching them squabble and burn with jealousy. Finally, with my brother officiating, we completed the wedding ceremony. That's all for today's story. Thank you for listening. This is my channel. The tales I share, drawn from life or woven from imagination, are meant to offer you connection, reflection, and perhaps solace or newfound strength. If you long to see your own reflection in others' journeys, or seek a glimmer of light within the maze of emotions, subscribe to my channel. Listen with your heart. Explore the stories of life.